What's going on, people? It's KOTB, and in this video we're going to be talking about how producers should be avoiding using royalty-free melody loops, and if you do end up using them, the risks you may run into because you could potentially be shooting yourself in the foot. So the first problem is royalty-free doesn't mean exclusive. When you use a melody loop, thousands of producers have got access to it. Anybody can use it, anybody can flip it around, they can stretch it, they can do whatever they want with it. They can claim it as their own sound, essentially. So your beat isn't unique anymore, it's totally replaceable. And in a day and age where rappers and artists have got access to hundreds and thousands of beats at the click of a finger, replaceable is not good, man, trust me. Now this is where it gets messy because ideas can actually get sort of stolen in a way. This is the scenario: you've used a beat using a royalty-free loop, and another producer's used the same loop, right? They've pitched it differently, they've added some different drums on it, they might even change the tempo a bit. They get it placed with a big artist. Now guess what happens? People think that they've actually created the idea, but not because they've stolen it, but because the loop was made public in the first place. And once an idea is public, man, you just can't protect it, especially when it's off a royalty-free site like Splice or whatever. I used a vocal sample from Splice. I made a Meek Mill type beat with it, and I actually put Meek Mill on the remix of it. He'd just put out the song Survivor's Guilt, which was doing crazy numbers, and I thought, you know what, let's whip up a Meek Mill type beat. Found that vocal sample, put it on there. This was 2 months before, all of a sudden, Meek Mill put a song out with that exact same vocal sample on it. The beat was almost identical, to be honest. Now, I'm not saying that the producers have seen my beat and stolen the idea, although it is possible, to be honest. But I'm not here to bash anyone, you know, we're all producers at the end of the day. But the point is, this is the type of risk that you're running using these royalty-free loops, man. And this is the biggest part of the problem. Like, if you're just relying on melodies from royalty-free sites, you don't develop your own sound anymore. Everybody's beats sound identical. There's no identity in yourself as a music producer. Artists don't actually associate a specific sound with you as a producer. Now, there are scenarios where melody loops are absolutely fine to use. You know, if you're just learning, practicing, you know, you want to test out your skills, you're learning how FL works or whatever the DAW is, you know, that's absolutely fine. I've got no problem with that. You might be doing some sound design, textures in the background, you know, if you're distorting them enough and shape shifting them or whatever you want to do. I don't have a problem with that, but relying on melody loops as the main idea of your beats is just an absolutely terrible idea, and that is where the majority of your problems are going to start. So how do you avoid these situations happening in the first place? Well, you need to be creating your own melodies. Simple as that. And you definitely don't need music theory to a really high level. I think you're going to develop that over time. You just need to repeat the process and start spending time making melodies to get better at them. You really need to put those hours in to get better at anything. And you could even hire musicians and create custom sounds if you wanted to. You know, you could get singer-songwriters in to do acapellas and vocal phrases. You could get guitarists in, violin players, like session violinists. There's loads of options out there if you wanted to go that way as well. A big tip I've got for you, if you are using royalty-free loops, chop it, reverse it, resample it, run them through a load of effects, change the rhythm and the cadence of the melody entirely, because then essentially that melody becomes yours. If it's completely unrecognizable from what you started with, you're putting effects tricks on it and halftime in it and it just sounds totally different, then that's okay. But to take something and just leave it sounding exactly as it is and then putting it out to the world, and then next thing you know, Meek Mill's placed the idea that you created, I am a bit salty about this. But I'm not saying that, you know, they've done it maliciously. It's probably just one of them scenarios. So spend 10, 15, 30 minutes a day just making melodies, man. You know, just lock in with it and start taking your time, learning the different elements of making melodies. No drums. Don't put any drums on it. Don't put any pressure on yourself. Just start to understand how melodies and samples work. The biggest song that I've got at the moment is with Mazza L20 and Ed Matthews, and that entire beat composition was my own. The sample, I created that sample from scratch and flipped it and remixed it and all the rest of it. So that was entirely my composition. And I think, you know, there are producers out there that will do this maliciously just to take away your credit. You know, maybe they don't want to share the credit with you, you're an unknown producer, whatever the case may be. Turbo actually spoke about this similar situation on the Producer Grind podcast years ago. Let's run the clip.
Your value could be in your music, but do I know that yet? You know what I'm saying? Like, you still gotta also remember, I gave you the opportunity to get this placement, and I could also take it away. These days, niggas remaking beats like they drinking water.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I could take it away. You know what I'm saying? If you budge, and what can you say? It ain't what can you say? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of niggas that's whining over nuggets and shit. You don't got the money to go into no litigation and goddamn talk about somebody remade your beat. You just gotta take it on the chin. You don't got no money to pay your lawyer to fight that.
So that's exactly the point that I'm making. You know, people are hearing an idea, remaking the beat, calling it their own, and then that does happen. It happens a lot. And then you're in a position as a smaller producer, you don't have the money to go and contest that, you know, and producers know that. So they're not doing that with massive producers. These are the problems that you run into, man. So just avoid it at all costs. Producers that rely entirely on loops are competing with everybody. But if you're creating brand new original material yourself that nobody has, then you're competing with yourself. And that's the position that you want to be in. You want to be pushing yourself. And then when it does get placed, because it will do, one day you will start getting placements. These things are already covered, you know, and you're not dealing with loads of different issues and feeling frustrated and stressed out that you didn't get that opportunity. Please subscribe, like and comment if you liked this video, and let me know what you want me to cover next, man. I'll see you in the next one, man. Peace.